give a lot of credit to Charlotte. I got very impressed with Will and his staff and his team. A very exciting team. I've been watching them for a couple of years, and ironically, obviously, when I got this job, to see them come up on our schedule was going to be a tremendous challenge. But we said to our guys last Sunday to where we are today that we wanted to make it a Big Ten week, right? Even though it's not a Big Ten game, we wanted to prepare that way to get to where we want to be. We had to understand that as a unit. So, obviously, coming into this program and into this opportunity, you didn't come here to play Charlotte, right? You came here to play and win Big Ten football games. And I think as we take a step forward, it's these baby steps along the way that will help us get there. This was the first week that we had Chase Brown and Josh McCray and Jakari Norwood all able to practice this week and to game plan that and execute it and to have it manifest the way it did today, to have Chase step up. Obviously, when Josh had to fumble, a young player, we're going to have to get him back mentally. Grabbed him on the sideline, said, you got a lot of good football in front of you, so we'll take that moment and learn. I thought our defense did a really nice job of adjusting at halftime to what we had. We found out late in the week that we didn't get Jake Hansen and Spoon cleared, right? They were held out again. So to have that come at us and then have our guys step up in those roles, whether they're corners and linebackers, just, again, really makes me proud of the way they prepared, the way our coaches made them prepare. And a little bit of a step. I told our guys, hey, I don't know if they grew up today, but they definitely took a step in the right direction. So it's something that's exciting. It's fun to see them get rewarded. Obviously, their fans, their families, everybody to have a moment to celebrate. But this week we got a tremendous challenge and a task in front of us, another Big Ten opponent to come in here. And then we have a bye week on the backside of it, so we should get a lot of good preparation out of our guys this week.
It's the fourth most rushing yards in one game for an Illini. You've got a lot of great backs. What makes Chase so difficult for defense?
I was talking with Josh early in the week, that I was excited because this week I knew he got cleared early in the week. So we went full-fledged game plan, and to have him and Josh and Jakari and even Reggie in that mix, like to have a full week of preparation. You see Chase and his abilities and his skill set, but I think he also has the ability to take the home run hit like you saw, like there wasn't anybody catching him. So he's really just scratching the surface of what he's going to become. I think he's a very talented back. Once he learns the patience that some of our inside zone concepts could be, I think he could be really, really a really special back.
You guys have 42 at Virginia and 3 games since, 47 combined. What turn for this season?
Well, I give all the credit to Ryan and the coaches. I give a lot of credit to our players too, because we've, Jake's been out 2 games now. And Spoon's been out 2 games, 2 of our probably best players to continue to move forward. I think they've learned how to prepare, and then sometimes defensively, when they can begin to make adjustments without you telling them, that's when you can see things begin to take a step forward. Even at the end of the half, right away we came in, we knew right away, like, we can't put them in those situations, keep the ball in front of us, make somebody go the distance. But I gave a lot. I've said it from day one. Ryan Walters' composure, his demeanor, he's just special. Love being around him, love seeing him work. And then I thought the first thing Ryan would tell you too, the coaches, the way they kind of interact, Andy Boo, Aaron, J-Mo, and Kevin, those guys are just constantly chattering on the phone, on the headsets about what to do in between series. I'm just very impressed with those guys.
From an identity standpoint, is this the kind of game you envision for the program? Dominate on the ground, good defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the formula, you kind of like it, but again, I didn't come here to play, no disrespect, right? Like, we got to play Big Ten football, right? And we're not where we need to be yet, so we got to but it's a step in the right direction, right? It's definitely a positive result, and then, to have a win and to taste that. But there's just so many things. We have some penalties today pop up down the field. There's a couple that I got to get cleaned up and clarification from the Big Ten office. There's just things that we have to be cleaner on, because those kind of things against good, even better competition will bring you down.
It's clear. Running the ball well, defense has been more sound. Passing game, that's obviously your guys' next step. What do you think that's
well, first, we got to, I remember young coach hearing the quote, right? 3 things can happen with a pass play, and 2 of them are bad, right? So I'm not quite that drastic, right? But I would tell you, like, we just can't throw the ball deep and hope it's completed. We got to throw it. We got to be better at the protection, the execution, and the catch, right? And we'll just continue to rep it. I think BP at the end of half there threw a dart in there to DJ that was pretty impressive. So I know it's weird, right? He's a 6-year senior, but because of his transfer and now the coaching stage, you see this kid continue to get a little bit better. We're not anywhere where we need to be, but I think this was a day that he could say was a step forward, because some of the stuff, I think he missed a couple throws that he'd be the first to tell you why. And the first part of it is identification, and then he's got to be able to execute it.
You guys have thrown a lot of trust in him.
Yeah.
Sticking with him through some struggles. Why do you trust him?
Well, I think a quarterback is very unique in the fact that they get, I kind of said it the other day, right? They get much more scrutiny, positive and negative, than any other position. So as a head coach, right, you're I learned this early in my career, the trust and the faith you have in them has to be apparent to everybody, right? Otherwise, everybody's going to start to shoot holes in them and identity. Now, I think BP would be the first to tell you I handled him very aggressively, probably in the last 2 weeks and especially today. And the results hopefully continue to trend in the right direction. But I would tell you this, like, it's not just it's the protection. Like, some of the throws, all of a sudden he's got a guy up in his face, and we can't have that, right? Or the route maybe is being run a little too deep or a little too short, right? It's too easy to point at the quarterback, right? It's much more than that. And for me as a head coach, that's the stuff I have to get right. Yeah, Keith, I think, when you talk about, like, is this kind of what you want to see? Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton, to a certain level, Seth, and even see Dwayne Johnson get in there today. I think you're beginning to see, but especially Johnny and Keith, those two guys up front. I've been around D linemen for a long time, and those guys are special. They're very young in their careers. J-Mo's doing a really nice job with them. Calvin Avery, unfortunately, has been a little banged up, so he hasn't been able to. Bobo is still limited from his injury. Rod Perry, has done some things as well that are very positive. But those two young bucks, I think that's something up front you can build around. And I'm going to tell you, Tariq Barnes and Kaylon Tolson, just very, very impressed with those two guys. Andy had said it from day one. He had a lot of confidence in those guys, and I think they could feel it. We literally eliminated Jake on Friday medically, so we had practiced him all week with the idea he was going to play, and those guys Tariq didn't take one snap of Mike, or more than a couple snaps during the course of the week, and to play the way he did today was very special.
So Brandon targeted the tight ends quite a bit today. I think 9 times with the forward, and then the touchdown to Daniel Barker. Was that a game plan thing, or was it just a?
Yeah, so I gave the coaches on Tuesday or Wednesday, kind of my thoughts on, hey, we're 5 games into it, getting ready for a 6th game. Here's what I think these people should be targeted, right? Like, here's the number of rushes that I want the running backs to get, each one of Chase and Josh. Here's the number of targets I want for number 1. Here's the number of targets I want for number 14. Here's the targets I want at the tight end position, and kind of just give them a roadmap more of what we're looking for. But, I got Luke Ford now. I mean, I've given him praise, right? But, like, we can't drop that one, right? We can't have penalties. He's a good player, and he's going to continue to step forward, and he's got a very, very special future in front of him, and I think he's going to work every day to get it.
Was it to, you got Kirby who broke up the touchdown pass, they missed the field goal, and Chase takes the 80 yards.
Yeah.
How big was that?
Well, everything that goes into it. So, if you remember last week, Kirby kind of had that same exact type of scenario that went for a touchdown, right? And so you talk about the development of him. Literally, I remember Kirby coming in my office Monday with a piece of paper and a pen. And believe me, he didn't need to learn safety play from me. He's got a great one in Ryan Walters, but he's just hungry to do that. And then obviously the execution on the field goal, we had pressure in on that field goal kicker all day, and I think that's kind of what he felt. And then that touchdown run was an adjustment by the coaches to a formation that they identified during the course of the game. They went through it during the sideline preparation. I heard Tony guiding that conversation with Ben and Bart. I know we talked about going over it specifically on the sidelines, and we thought it'd be a big hit. I don't know if they thought it was going to go for that distance, but then I think you really saw the skill set of what Chase Brown has. Like, there was a couple guys that had their angle on him, and he can definitely run.
After the game is dancing on the sideline. Obviously, he has the interception. That's big for him. And you talk a lot about his energy. What does it mean to you to see a guy just have so much fun when he's playing well?
Again, Keith is a guy from day one when I got here. He's kind of a quiet demeanor, but he's sneaky fun. Like, I remember I was kind of pissy the other day during practice. He came by and slapped me on the backside and just kind of looked at me, like he knew I needed it. And I think that's the fun part about my job, is I'm just getting to know these guys, their demeanors, their personalities. I feel awful when I walk through the parent section there and I don't know any of those parents. I don't know them by their face, and we'll get there, right? But like that's part of college football. I mean, when Josh gave me the opportunity to come back here, the part that attracted me to college football was the development of relationships. And like I said, Keith Randolph and Johnny Newton, those guys, I think are something that we can really build on.
Obviously, you had some success up front on the offensive
Mhm.
line. What is Julian Pearl's impact on this year?
He's a work in progress. Very excited about Julian. Last spring, you can see length, you can see athleticism, you can see power. I think the thing that jumped out to us in fall camp is he needed to be one of our 5 best linemen, so he was kind of swinging at tackle. And once we knew Palcho was going to be a little bit more confirmed to be there, then we kind of switched him to guard, especially when we lost Jordan. Jordan, like everybody just kind of forgets, like that was probably one of our best interior prospects. Just give him a huge hug in the locker room, because I know it's frustrating for him when we lose, but it's also, I think, double frustrating when we win because he's not out there. So again, we're going to continue to evolve and move, but I think Julian, as far as for me, as an intangible with offensive line, he has a lot of check-the-box traits.
Fourth and 2, Coach, was that just a situation where you felt you needed to get a touchdown on that drive?
I think a couple times on 4th down, didn't we? Which one?
Yeah, it was in the red zone.
Well, you guys are always good when we don't do them. We got to be telling me which one to do. I think that anytime you go for it on 4th down, you do it with the expectation that you probably have an 80 to 90% chance of getting it. And in both of those situations, I just basically said, how do we feel about the call? What are we thinking? And then even the last one at the end of the game, I know that the first thought was probably a run, and TP's like, hey, Brett, I'd like to go. And he named the play, and he said, I'd like to do this. And I said, giddy up, rodeo. And obviously it sealed the game, right? So for me as a head coach, I deserve all of it, right? I deserve the pressure. I deserve all the questions, because that's what I'm here to do. What I told our coaches is, you just do what you do, right? I have faith in you and trust in you, and I thought they responded very well. But again, like I told our locker room, like settle down, right? You beat Charlotte, right? Like we're talking about winning Big Ten games here, so enjoy the moment. Hug your mom, dad, and whoever else you're hanging around. But let's get our minds right tomorrow for practice.
Coach, I know you love the phrase 1-0, but does this win, snapping this losing streak, kind of reset things for you and the team and mindset-wise?
Absolutely not. Again, it's a non-conference, non-Power 5 win that I will gladly take, and I'm excited for it. But if we're satisfied with today's opportunity, then we're not in the right place. So we'll continue to move forward. A lot of positives. We'll build on it, and hopefully good things to come.
Had a record performance today, moved it 10 touchdowns, most in program history for a tight end. What makes him special? I mean, the pass might not have been just, but he just snatches it. And,
Yeah, DJ, you talked to DJ, right? Yeah, DJ's a very athletic, long, catches the ball, plays a little bit of attitude. He's fun. I think he definitely has a role. So he'd been a little dinged up as well. Like even last week, with those 3 plays, like he got cleared, but we haven't been able to rep him. And DJ's a guy that needs reps. So to have him and Luke in the game plan, and I think they saw today we want to go to him. So now their challenge is how you're going to respond, right? So I'm excited to see where they go.
Just a couple more questions.
Brandon would be the first to tell you you've been a little more aggressive with him the last 2 weeks. What does that look like for those of us who just see it on Saturday?
What does it look like for me to be aggressive?
Yeah, like what do you mean by that?
I would say, like, anybody that's in a leadership position, and how you choose to motivate people depends on the person, right? Like, I remember early on in my playing career, like I always felt that coaches played favorites, right? Or they catered to certain guys. Maybe they recruited because I was a walk-on. But what I quickly realized that coaches play the players that give them the best chance to win, and that's what I kind of say to our players all the time. I think as a quarterback, you're always conscientious about saying things that may make them, have adverse reactions. And I was very clear about BP, about where we are, what we're doing, and what I think he can be capable of doing, and that's all I challenged him to do. I thought also Tony got aggressive with him on his calls and the things he put in his hands, gave him those shots down the field last week and this week. To see his big smile, and again, you guys have been around him. I mean, he's got obviously strengths, but these things he has to work on, and hopefully he's kind of continue to take a step in the right direction.
Last question.
Yeah.
Brett, I look at Chase, I look at DJ, and I look at Keith Randolph, 3 guys that you basically didn't have last week. Was there anything to be said for this roster getting a little bit healthy, getting more competitive?
It's a great point. It's the Big Ten, though, right? I mean, guys are going to get injured. We got an incredible medical staff. They do a great job of trying to get our guys back out there. Even like, I think somebody asked about IG. IG got cleared to go back in. We just never went back out on the field. So I think Seth is a wait to see. Like, I don't get the full medical, but like, we're all going in the same direction, right? Like, it's the Big Ten, though. Like, people are going to get banged up. You're going to have to play hurt. But if they're, in a position that they can't medically play, I get it. That's understandable. I'm not a doctor, but I think our guys have learned, right, to get out there and play when they're in a little bit of, maybe everything doesn't feel right. And it's a good step in the right direction. But I have told our guys, like, I remember early on in fall camp, I said, hey, the starters are in this room. If we polled them, probably 90% of them get their first start because the guy in front of them got hurt, right? And it's just how it happened. In the first game, lo and behold, one of the greatest things that happened to us in the Nebraska game was BP got hurt. Like, think about that, right? Because it gave the spotlight to Art and what he did with it. And unfortunately, over these last 4 weeks when we haven't been able to do things the right way, I kept referencing, like, somebody's going to get called upon. Today, I said it last night. I said it this morning in the hotel. I said it today at halftime, like, somebody has got to step forward. And the other thing like in life, there's a lot of things left for people that want just leftovers, right? But for the people that really want things in life, they got to go get them. And that was kind of our attitude today was, like, let's go get this, right? Let's not wait for someone else to bring it to us. Let's not, order room service and see if it shows up. Let's go get it, right? And I think that hopefully our guys can begin to understand that and move forward.
We've got players starting outside down here.
Yeah.